for coming out. I will say I did speak to Mayor Aaron. She is actually feeling better. She was in the hospital for a few days, but she is actually out and on the mend. So again, she's probably looking and listening in. But she wanted to let everybody know that she is still on the mend, and we hope that she gets better soon. So she wanted to make sure she relayed that. I spoke to her today around lunchtime. So I wanted to make sure we make that as a point of order in our agenda. I'd like to call our meeting to order, and if you would please, if you would stand up and pray with me, and then from there we'll go to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. McCullum, call roll, please.
Well, after I find the flag, I'm a bit taken back. Councilman Roberts.
Here.
President Logan.
Here.
Councilman Hinton.
Here.
Councilman Davis.
Here.
Councilman Hogg.
Here.
Item 4 in the presentations, ladies and gentlemen. I know we had some swearing in of some new police officers to join our force. They're Logan Bream and Jason Knowles. Again, the swearing in ceremony was previously done by Chief Burton and Mr. McCullum. So, Chief or Mr. McCullum, if you guys wanted to add to that, I know we had sworn in some new police officers.
Yes, we did. We were very proud to have two new additions. I think they've already been on duty. Chief, you want to mention anything about
Oh.
two new additions, Bream and Knowles?
Yes, sir. We hired two new guys. Both have connections here. Mr. Knowles, his brother, works for us, so we're familiar with him. Mr. Brim, he's a local kid from here, and I do mean kid, he's young. And I think they're going to do us well. They have ties to the community, so we're very proud to have them on board.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. And again, welcome Officer Bream and Officer Knowles to our police department. Item 5 is approval of our agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as printed?
I'll move.
That's a motion by Councilman Hinton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Roberts. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. McCullum.
Roberts.
Yes.
President Logan.
Yes.
Councilman Hinton.
Yes.
Councilman Davis.
Yes.
Councilman Hogg.
Yes.
Motion carried.
7A1, unfinished business. It's a second reading of an ordinance amending the Northport Municipal Code pertaining to automatic employee step raises. Again, this is out of our admin committee led by Councilman Hinton.
At our last meeting, I discussed this pretty thoroughly, so I'd like to defer to Mr. Rose and let him present tonight.
Yes, sir. As you mentioned last meeting, we do have a step plan, a 20-step pay plan for every one of our employees. And this would be for consideration for an automatic step raise every year. It gives the employees, they know where they're coming in at and hopefully where they'll finish when they retire. It's a % and a half between each step. And we're proposing, like we did, follow up like we did this year, and implement those on their anniversary date. And there are some provisions in this adoption if there's any performance problems. That's not anything that's satisfactory, unsatisfactory as far as their work performance, to address those issues as well. Good thing to do. employees look for that. They say, hey, I can start here and I can end here. And then that's a commitment on their part, but it's also a commitment on the city's part as an employer to invest in their employees.
Thank you. Again, Councilman Hinton, I don't know if you want to add anything else. I know your committee brought this to the full body of council.
I think that that covers most everything. Of course, we may have some years, down years, and it's possible we'd have to defer on that year, but we also could cut back on departments' budgets and those kind of things to make up for that difference. So hopefully we'll not have to see a year where they're not paid.
Yes, sir. I think the biggest thing is committing to the automatic step raises, so an employee, when they get hired on, they will know at year 3 I should be at this level, and at year 4 I should be at that level. And again, all of it's going to be dependent upon the annual merit-based evaluations that typically most employers do for their employees. Again, downturns in the economy, that's where you go back internal. From a financial standpoint, Councilman Roberts, you look and see if we can cut a little bit. That way we make sure we keep the automatic step raises for our employees.
Yeah, I think you have to, I think from a pure funding mechanism standpoint, I think you have to be a little bit more like what a regular business is. It should be from past performance. This year was a rough year, but financially the city employees did outstanding to help with cost reductions. And therefore, even if we have some issues in next year with revenue, you already plan for it. I think you have to take that kind of thing into account, because I don't want to see someone using, well, revenue's down, so that's the first thing to be cut. So I think it ought to be a reflection of the previous year, and I believe that the council at their discretion ought to use, if the department heads can find funding mechanisms to do that when things are tight, we should do it. I'm not saying pad the budget, because I have worked for companies where department heads padded the budget because then it was easy to give your 10% reduction every year. But I believe that you got to, as a funding mechanism, make it a reflection of the previous year.
Thank you. Again, brought up by Councilman Hinton out of admin committee. Very good thing for our employees, and just adds to the value of attracting and keeping employees retainage. Again, is there a motion to adopt the ordinance amending the Northport Municipal Code pertaining to automatic employee step raises?
I'll make that motion.
That's a motion by Councilman Roberts. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Hogg. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. McCullum.
Councilman Roberts,
Yes.
President Logan,
Yes.
Councilman Henry,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Hogg,
Yes.
motion carried.
New business 8A1 is a first reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 14 of the Northport Municipal Code pertaining to the regulation of dangerous animals. Mr. Davis.
Yes, Mr. President. As you know, this council spent quite a good bit of time, a little over a year ago, dealing with this. This does not change the substance of the act. What it does, it changes the procedure. It makes the matter go quicker, and it also cleans up some changes that have been made since then in the way we handle animal control. Judge Patterson has suggested some changes, and those are incorporated as well. I will say this, that we did have an instance not too long ago where a pit bull was going down the street and attacked a man that was sweeping out his garage. Very serious injuries. The guy may still have to have, or victim may have to have some skin surgery. That dog's been put down. So this is a much needed ordinance, and again, there's no change to the intent. It just speeds things along, makes our procedure more efficient.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Is there a member of council wanted to offer this for a first reading?
I'll offer that up.
That's offered by Councilman Davis. 8B2 is a resolution renewing the franchise agreement for North Star Paramedic Services. This is out of our Fire and Rescue. Chief Marshal.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, members of council. This is a renewal agreement for a 3-year franchise for North Star to continue to provide transportation service for our medical and emergency medical services. There were no changes from the previous agreement. It's still a performance-based agreement for 3 years.
Thank you, Chief. Is there a motion to adopt that resolution? That's a motion by Councilman Hinton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Davis. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. McCullum.
Councilman Roberts,
Yes.
President Logan,
Yes.
Councilman Henry,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Hogg,
Yes.
motion carried.
Second item is a resolution authorizing the Northport Police Department to seek grant funds from the Homeland Security Grant. Again, this is out of Chief Burton's office. Chief.
Yes, sir. This is, we're applying for a grant with the Homeland Security to upgrade our security system, doors, camera system in the police department. As you know, they're about 20-plus years old, and I think it's time to get it done.
Thank you, Chief. This is actually a Homeland Security grant. It's in the award amount of $50,000, and then there's a balance that the city may have to pay to purchase with city funds. I think that's
Yes, sir.
that's
The
right.
maximum
Okay.
amount we can receive is $50,000.
Okay.
We're in the process of getting a second bid for services.
Chief, was this for this year, or were we going to look at doing this next year if there had not been a grant?
Well, I think this grant is for the upcoming, finishing out this term and the next term. I don't think we can get it done on this budget here. Right.
But regardless, it would be $100 and some thousand to upgrade all the system, of which we could get a.
Yes, sir.
$50,000.
I think we're around 115, 120. So that would leave the city around $70,000.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing our police department to apply for the actual Homeland grant in the amount of $50,000? And if the police department is awarded the $50,000 grant, the city, of course, will pay the balance of $52,315.92 for the purchase with city funds.
Just a question, Ron, if we leave that as a specific amount, do we have to vote if it changes? I just don't want to have two votes for.
Yeah, I think I would make if you don't mind, Mr. President, say that amount of whatever the balance is
The
in case
balance
this
is.
other bid would come in at a different amount.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to vote twice if it goes over that, so I'll make a motion with the amendment that agrees to pay the balance of $52,000 or, comparable amount, or however the wording needs to be to clean that up.
Yeah, let's say for the record, to make sure we clean it, just the balance. We'll just call it 52, that amount, 52,315.92, or the balance remaining, or the balance.
You might want to have a not to exceed, because I'm not saying Chief's going to go do that, but if he comes back and says the balance is $950,000, we're all going to be clowning underneath it.
No, I won't write the check.
All right.
You could say the balance not to exceed, if Chief is good with, 80,000 or something like that. Let's do it that way.
Chief, you good with that one? Okay. Motion by Councilman Roberts on the floor with the amended language to specify the actual amount of 52,315.92, not to exceed the balance of $80,000.
Yeah.
That way it gives us a cushion. So that was a form of a motion amended by Councilman Roberts. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Hogg. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. McCullum.
Councilman Roberts.
Yes.
President Logan.
Yes.
Councilman Henry.
Yes.
Councilman Davis.
Yes.
Councilman Hogg.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item C is our consent agenda. There are 12 items. They range from minutes of the previous meeting, bill listings, and travel and training, and appeal requisition for our wastewater treatment process, residuals, and removal and disposal. Again, these are budgeted items. Is there a member of council wanted to approve this consent agenda as printed?
Make that motion.
That's a motion by Councilman Roberts. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Davis. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. McCullum.
Councilman Roberts.
Yes.
President Logan.
Yes.
Councilman Henry.
Yes.
Councilman Davis.
Yes.
Councilman Hogg.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item 9, reports of special committees to council. If any member of council wanted to report on their respective committee at this time. I will give a report from our retail committee. July 1st, Ron Davis and myself and John Ray, our retail attorney, we did finish up our validation hearing, which was a component requirement of the 772 process regarding the Marriott Hotel that'll be located on Bridge Avenue. So in the process of doing that, Ron, you can kind of chime in. We basically had to go through and the city, because it's transparent, the city had to come in and do a friendly lawsuit with itself. So you basically sue yourself. And so, very good meeting. Judge Roberts, Circuit Court Judge, was very complimentary of the actual project. He also mentioned that one of the things that we needed to make sure that we do is to replace those basketball courts, and we showed him some renderings and some engineering renderings, and he was very appreciative, and he actually liked the idea. So that's actually in the official minutes. So Ron, I didn't know if I missed something in terms of our validation hearing.
No, that's correct. We've represented to the district attorney and to the circuit court judge that those basketball courts will be replaced. And
Yeah.
Jay was our star witness. A picture's worth 1,000 words. He had a picture of the new
Yeah.
rendering of what we're planning on doing at that area.
Yeah.
So the community is very aware of the fact that is going to happen, and we're going to try to fast track that.
So I think the next step in that one from retail, just to give an update, we had the validation hearing on July 1st. By law, there's a 14-day, what we call appeal process, where there's an appeal process. So if anybody still had any heartburn regarding bringing a hotel to the city of Northport, that was their opportunity to do it one last time before all bets will be off after the 15th. So again, 772 is a very long-out process, drawn out, but it's very transparent. And I think we're trying to establish a groundbreaking date, too, that's tentatively set for early August. It's tentative. So we did meet with the developers the next day. Had a good internal meeting to nail down all the odds and ends internal with the actual plans and the approvals. So we are tentatively looking at early August or late July for groundbreaking for that particular hotel. But Councilman Hogg, I don't know if you had anything else from retail.
That's it. That's a very good project, and I think it's going to wind up being $15 million back into the.
Yes, sir. That's a $15 million project. 40 jobs that in the contract has to be hired by people in Northport full time. And again, it's really going to add a lot of value to the actual component of a hotel portfolio that we don't have currently. So, any further committee business from members of council?
Mr. President, the administrative committee will not meet this month.
All right, Councilman Davis, I know we serve on projects. We were just throwing it out there. I know we probably have getting our agenda fleshed out for next couple of weeks. So,
yes, President Logan, we'll have a meeting at 9 o'clock on July 15th in the pre-council chambers, and Ms. Boyd has already submitted an email for any items to be put on the agenda. So it'll be at 9 o'clock in the pre-council meeting on July 15th.
all right, thank you. Item 10, public hearings. We have none on the agenda. And item 11 will be city administrator's business. That will be Mr. McCullum.
Yes, let me remind the council that we have the League of Municipalities annual meeting on July the 23rd in Montgomery. It's going to be a one-day meeting, obviously because of the COVID situation. They're combining it from 8 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock business session and maybe a reception afterwards. So I'm looking for, or the league is asking for a delegate from the city of Northport and an alternate delegate for the city of Northport. Now, and it must be an elected official.
So when is the actual league business meeting? That will be the
At 3 o'clock on the afternoon of July the 23rd, which is a Thursday. What I would suggest is we go ahead and nominate someone that we feel like Councilman Hogg or you, Mr. President, or one of our members, and then you can always substitute it if necessary.
I tell you what, I'm not going to really attend any kind of receptions and all that. I wish they would just do a virtual voting, but that's just my opinion for the league, maybe for next time. But I don't mind being the voting delegate. I've done it in the past. But given the COVID situation, again, we'll play it by ear, and we'll go down and vote, and then I'll just come on back. So we'll probably need to vote on that. I know we need a first alternate.
Be out of town, unfortunately or fortunately.
I
be
could,
amenable to being a first alternate?
I will.
Again, if it's just a business meeting to actual vote on some business, I may just make that as a, I don't know why we don't just virtual vote on that one.
I would agree with you.
Yeah, that,
Seems like they, again, you got to understand whatever the bylaws
yeah.
supposedly requires.
All right. So Ron, we'll need to vote on this one. So I'll nominate myself as the voting delegate, and Dr. Hinton has agreed to serve as the first alternate voting delegate for the 2020 Annual Convention of the League of Municipalities. For the record, we'll put an asterisk beside it for COVID, so if numbers go up and if me and Dr. Hinton don't show up, don't hold it against us. But we plan on going to vote and coming back. I'll make that in the form of a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Roberts. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. McCullum.
Councilman Roberts,
Yes.
President Logan,
Yes.
Councilman Henton,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Hogg,
Yes.
motion carried.
Item 12, departmental business. We have none on the agenda. Item 13, public comment. We have 4 citizens signed to speak. I'll start with our first one, Ms. Tamaria Madison. Good evening, Ms. Madison.
How you doing?
Good, doing great, doing great. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Tamaria Madison. I stay at 4412 Northwood Lake Drive West. I'm up here regarding a forum that we had for the new branding for Northport. On June 12th, I received the email to be part of the forum. I accepted. On June 24th, we had a meeting. In this meeting with the marketing company, Red Sage, they asked several different questions. You know, questions like, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long that you lived in Northport, what do you like and dislike about living in Northport. Long story short, I decided to put some input on the question. One of the questions was what I like and dislike about Northport. I mentioned about having maybe a cyber cafe, maybe having a library for the children. Long story short, after I made my statement, Mr. Ron Davis decided to take it upon himself to say, oh, she's part of the zoning board and she doesn't come. He also made a statement about me getting a job, and I denied it. The reason I'm here is because on June 24th, after this meeting, I sent an email to everyone. I did receive an email from Mr. McCullough. That was on June 25th, where you said you were going to do some investigation. Today is July 6th. I still haven't heard anything. I think an apology is in order because my personal business was not the question that the marketing company had on the floor. And if I wanted them to know about me and a job or anything, I could have discussed that. And as an attorney for the city, he was out of line. And I'm here today to see what are we going to do about this.
Ms. Madison, I guess I need to be the one to respond to it. Ms. Madison, as I told you, I would investigate it. I haven't completed my investigation, but I have talked to some members that were at the meeting, and to ensure that what you sent out was actually what happened. And there is a difference of recall between folks who were at that meeting as to what was actually presented on your part, and that was actually responded to by Mr. Davis. But I'll be glad, as I told you, as soon as I get down, I'm going to be back with you. I'll sit down and talk to you. I'll sit down, and then we'll take whatever appropriate action at that point in time.
So how long is it going to take for you to get back with me? This happened on June 24th.
Well, that's what week before last. There's the only people that I have
Can
been
you give
able
me a
to
tentative
reach are
date?
the ones that are working here at Northport that attended that meeting.
Well, you have someone from the zoning board that was in attendance. He lives in Northport. You have someone that works at the city that was in attendance to that meeting as well.
I have discussed it with 3 employees so far.
Okay.
I'm not through. When I get through, getting it all, everything, the ones that I have talked to have shared that it's different than what your letter
Why
indicated
don't
to
you
the council.
ask him what he said?
Ma'am,
Why don't you ask Ron what he said? He's here today.
he is.
And like the ladies from Red Sage, wait a minute, I'm not gonna argue with you. Like the ladies from Red
I
Sage
don't think
said,
this is an appropriate forum.
I didn't think it was appropriate what he said to me at the meeting. We were talking about branding, and I was entitled to my opinion.
No one
Me refusing a job was none of anyone's business, and how many special zoning meetings I attended, that wasn't even the question.
Ms. Madison, the people that I discussed this with indicated to me that you are the one that actually brought up the subject of your applications to the city of Northport.
No, I didn't. I talked about
So that
diversity.
was an error.
I talked about diversity. I didn't say
You and I-
anything about
You and I
my.
need to have this discussion away from.
Okay, that's why I sent you the email and I
And
called
I told
you.
you I'd get back to you.
Okay,
didn't
well, you could be giving me some kind of status or asking about a meeting or
I
something.
apologize, I bet that I haven't gotten back to you sooner.
So from this point on, when will we talk? Can I have a tentative date? I'm on vacation this week.
I get out and get my calendar and look at it, yes.
So I need to wait till
I'll
after this
respond to
meeting?
you when I get to back to my calendar.
Ms. Madison, I'll have you an answer in 48 hours.
Thank you.
Thank you. And what I'll do, if you're on vacation, I may just reach out to you. And the reason I didn't respond in a text because,
Well,
again,
Jeff, thanks for responding, Jeff. Thank you for responding.
I needed to kind of see, you mentioned some people who were at the meeting. So I did reach out to one person on that committee, but I wanted to reach out to a couple more because I think in your email you specifically said reach out to the people who were in that committee.
I have no
So-
problem with that.
So give me
because I know
48
what it
hours
says.
and I'll have some type of what's going on so we can get through this one. Because again,
Because that's defamation of character, what he did. They asked me a question, I answered it. We were done with me answering. For him to say, I haven't been attending meetings, I don't go to all the zoning meetings, I work. But I'm sure if you look at everyone on the zoning board, they're not attending every meeting either. And yes, I did deny a job because I wasn't gonna take $10,000 less than what I was currently making.
Yes,
And that
ma'am.
was my choice. What does that have to do with the branding?
I don't think it has nothing to do with the branding.
Thank you, and for the
So-
city attorney to do that to me?
Give me till Wednesday about this time, and I will have something. I will have something to you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Next citizen is Miss Latasha Montgomery. Good evening, Miss Montgomery.
Good evening.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Latasha Montgomery, and I stay in Harper Creek, 2023 43rd Avenue. And I'm here in regards to William Barnes. He's supposed to have been cutting down the trees along 43rd Avenue, and that was like over 3 months ago, and he have not done anything yet.
Yes, put it for the record, William Barnes. I want to make sure I say that because I'm disappointed. You put it for the record.
Right.
So, I do know that I had Mr. McCullum working on that one. And Hardy, if you want to give an update on that.
I'll be glad to. We have had at least two meetings, maybe three, with Mr. Barnes. He assured me, along with Councilman President, I believe, that he was going to handle it. And then more recently, the indication was he didn't have a problem if you'd take care of your own problem. And that wasn't what I understood at my earlier meetings with Mr. Barnes. So we're gonna follow that back up from a code enforcement standpoint.
When he came out, he knew that he said that he was gonna take care of it all along 43rd.
What he told, he
Yeah.
represented that as well,
Yeah.
so.
He also mentioned too, Ms. Montgomery, he probably told you the same thing, and he told some more of our neighbors along 43 that, it's okay if you guys want to go on my property and cut
No,
well, we're not going to do that, obviously.
I already have to replace my fence from his trees
Right.
and got the fence and leaning back.
Right.
So
So
no.
he owns that property in the county, and I do know that our HOA has been contacted. I contacted our HOA president last week, so our attorney will probably be getting involved with Mr. Barnes to make sure that, because again, if you look at the 8 or 9 houses along 43rd, all of the fences are starting to lean because of the overgrowth on his property. So
Did he get his citation? Did that not matter to him?
he did, but it doesn't matter. I think at this point we need to move forward with our HOA and our attorney, and then and go from there. Because I did speak to our HOA president, and they kind of know the situation for years ago when he cleaned the first area, but not this area where 43rd is. So our attorney for the HOA will actually be contacting him formally, and we go through our legal process. Because
Okay.
again, it's caused some damage to some property.
And you saw that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you
Okay.
again for the patience. And again, you're probably number 10 of the ones I've talked to about our situation. So,
Okay.
the attorney that we use is off of Main Avenue. Chris Jones. So his firm is our HOA attorney.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Miss Montgomery. Thank you. Next citizen signed to speak is Mr. Randy Fuller. I'm sorry. Come on up. Come on up, Randy. Please state your name and address for the record.
Randy Fuller, 11150 Davis Place. Kind of loud, so I don't want to get too close to that thing. Mr. Counsel and Mr. President, I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity. I'm here just for a brief second on what will probably be an issue that you address pretty quickly with regards to requiring masks in public. I just had a couple of common sense things. I'm an educated man, but I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I do have some common sense. And so here's a couple of things I want to share with the council. We have consistently received inconsistent information about the COVID-19 virus. And what anyone knows is varied based on the day and the source. I think that the numbers that we're seeing today in the United States and certainly in the state of Alabama most likely would have been the numbers in June if we had not had a quarantine. If you just put everybody in public 8 weeks early, you get 8 weeks earlier results. Probably one of the driving reasons for the increased cases is the increased testing. I know the numbers change every day and every week, but from 4 days ago, the number of cases in the state of Alabama was 40,111. The deaths were 985. That is a 0.024 death rate. Mrs. Aaron would have been very good here at this. The Alabama population is 4.9 million. The sick rate is 40,111. That means that the infection rate is 0.010 in the state of Alabama. If masks were effective, then why did we empty our jails? If masks are effective and yours protects you, then why do I need one? Since coronavirus is not going to pack up and leave our country, how long will we continue to take drastic measures, such as refusing to play football, go back to school on time, social distance, and wear masks? The police department nationwide has suffered a black eye. Do we really want them to address people in writing citations for not wearing masks? People are tired of government overregulation. Northport has rapidly become a preferred place of living in the greater Tuscaloosa area. I personally believe that's due to a couple of things, three of which I enumerated. One is the decreased crime rate. Secondly, the location, the quality of county schools on our side of the river. And thirdly, the overbuilding of rental properties since the Tuscaloosa tornado. If Northport will allow its citizens and its business owners to self-regulate as to whether or not they want to wear a mask, if everyone gets to exercise their free rights and responsibilities to wear a mask or not, to enter businesses that require masks or not, I think that the city of Northport will benefit greatly at this point in time, because many in the city of Tuscaloosa are going to come here to do business. And so I think that the best thing is not to overreact. We've been dealing with this since December, and I read to you the percentages. I'm not here to minimize the virus nor to pass judgment on anyone who chooses to wear a mask, chooses to social distance, or chooses not to. That's exactly what I think it should be doing. Everyone doing what they feel is necessary to protect themselves, their families, and their businesses. I would hope that before the city of Northport takes the action to require masks in the city, that you would think about some of these simple, common sense things. Again, using you and President Logan as an example. If you and I are going to ride to Montgomery for that godforsaken league vote, and you wear a mask, and your mask protects you, then why would I wear one? It's just as simple as that.
I would still ask you to wear one anyway, but it's just me. We would be riding, I would say, Randy, put your mask on. And we'd just be riding down the car, and you're like, no, I'm not I would still ask you to put a mask on, but that's just me, Randy.
And if you asked me, I would. If you told me, I wouldn't go.
I would still ask you, though, Randy. If me and you were riding, we would be listening to some decent music, and I'm saying, Randy, just put your mask on.
And we put the window down, we'll take them both off.
Thank you. You asked me, Randy, and I replied. Okay. Okay. Our next citizen signed to speak is Miss Christine Grace. Miss Christine, thank you for coming. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Christine Grace, and I live at 3004 Riviera Street. I also own a business in historic downtown Northport on 401 20th Avenue. I'm here today also about masks. Many of you guys know where I stand on that, and if you don't, I'm about to make it very clear. I am an Army brat. I was born bleeding red, white, and blue. I believe in everyone's freedoms. I believe in all of our liberties. I believe that the sacrifices that my family made for all of us to be here and to speak out should not be in vain. With that being said, the 28th of May, I lost my stepfather to COVID-19. It was a very long 15-day battle where he slowly suffocated to death. His body succumbed to blood clots. He was put on remdesivir. He was put on blood thinners. At the time, the doctors told us that everything was exploratory and experimental. There's no cure to COVID-19. There's no actual treatment for COVID-19 that they are positive about. Now, I'm aware of the numbers and I'm aware of the percentages. Today, in Tuscaloosa County, the confirmed cases, and this is without all of the test results coming back, the confirmed cases are 2,321. I just checked that. The confirmed deaths are 42. Now, 42 seems like a very small number. And at the time when my stepfather died in Lumberton, North Carolina, he was number 39. And at that time, people said, it's just 39 deaths. We're still dealing with his loss. My mother is now homeless, and she lives with me at 3004 Riviera Street because there was no will. So the estate is separated between her and his 2 children, and she is forced to live with her daughter after losing the love of her life. Now, I recently heard Representative Neil Rafferty talk about the mandate masks in Birmingham, and he's the one that actually gave me the courage to come before you guys, because if I wasn't holding onto this podium, I promise you I'd probably faint, because I'm not a public speaker. I'm really not. Like I said, I'm an Army brat, but I defend behind the lines. Like I'm there to support in any way that I can, and I have been doing that with the Mask Initiative here in Tuscaloosa County, donating to donation sewers, helping with healthcare professionals, and making masks for the public selling that, taking care of the logistics, and during the shutdown, making sure that we had a steady flow of fabric, elastic, thread, and all the necessities that were needed, even sewing machines. So I know that everybody took vocabulary in school, in grade school. So this is something that inspired me from Neil Rafferty's interview. He defined personal responsibility. In the Merriam-Webster dictionary, unfortunately, if you look up personal responsibility, it is not in there. However, there is on one's own responsibility without being told, and thus willing to accept blame for a bad result. That means that the person that is responsible is willing to accept that blame, is willing to accept the blood on their hands. Responsibility, the quality or state of being responsible, such as moral, legal, or mental accountability, reliability, trustworthiness. We have a lot of law-abiding citizens in the city of Northport. That is why we are able to have 25,000 residents in the city of Northport and only 65 officers, and I am so proud of that. Personal freedom. Freedom of the person in going and coming, equality before the courts, security of private property, freedom of opinion and its expression, and freedom of conscious subject to the rights of others, or subject to the rights of others and of the public. Meaning, your personal freedom is subjected to the freedom and the rights of others, of your peers. So if you take the chance of being asymptomatic and you go out in public and you say it's your freedom to not wear a mask because it's too difficult to talk into a microphone and too difficult to address a large gathering, who holds you responsible? You've just subjected an entire room to your droplets. And the saying isn't, the mask protects you. Only an N95 mask will protect the wearer 95% from the virus. The saying is, I wear a mask for you, you wear a mask for me. That is the only way that masks are effective. Personal liberty. I promise I'm not going to read the whole dictionary, but personal liberty, the freedom of the individual to do as he pleases, limited only by the authority of political organized society, to regulate his action to secure the public health, safety, or morals, or of other recognized social interests. Meaning, councilmen, this is where you come in. This is where you stand up and be heroes, and you protect your citizens, your constituents, the people who voted for you. My husband has rheumatoid arthritis, and I've repeated that several times on social media and on the news. My mother is older. She is at high risk as my stepfather. And if my mother was not here helping me with the mask initiative in Alabama, I would have buried my stepfather and my mother probably on the same day. But luckily, she heard the calling, and she came with me to Alabama, and took up the cause here for all of you. That was the sacrifice that she made. Now, my last definition, irresponsible. Not responsible, such as lacking a sense of responsibility. Said or done with no sense of responsibility. Not answerable to higher authority. When you are irresponsible, you don't answer to a higher authority. You're not held accountable. The person that gave my stepfather the virus is not in jail. He does not live with blood on his hands, because not only did he infect my stepfather, he infected his sister. The morning my stepfather was admitted to ICU, his sister died. June 12th, or sorry, what day was that? I believe it was June 2nd. June 2nd? No, June 12th. No, sorry. The dates mix up because we've had so many tragedies. And I have so many friends who have loved ones in ICU. A teacher of ours at Fawcett Vestavia just lost her father to COVID-19, and that's here in Northport. That is a teacher, one of your constituents, here in Northport, Alabama. She lost her father because there's no accountability. There's no one taking responsibility for this. Now, before I started all of this, remember I said I was an Army brat, and I grew up bleeding red, white, and blue. My father fought in Vietnam. My mother's second husband fought in Desert Storm. My husband's uncle is the United States Sergeant Major of the entire Army. I believe in taking responsibility. I believe in taking sacrifices for the greater good. And I think that being hush about it and not addressing the issue, not addressing the fatalities, because after all, it's only 42, right? That's only 42 lives that don't matter, because personal freedom doesn't come at a cost, right? It does. And my family has paid the cost. My family continues to pay that cost. So I urge you guys to think about your constituents, to think about yourselves. You could be the next one in ICU, worrying about whether or not being prone, meaning being on your belly, helps you to raise your oxygen level. Or if the blood thinners help you from not having a stroke because you're starting to have blood clots. Or if 5 days of dialysis and taking 3 liters of fluid out of your body will actually give you relief so that you can get the rest of your system up. Or your family on the line, listening to the doctors talk about you coming around and believing in that last hurrah, only on the 4th day to get the phone call from the night doctor, sobbing, because she just lost a patient, and she knows that you just lost somebody that you love. That is what we're facing. That is what coronavirus is. It's not just the flu. It's not just asymptomatic. It's not a joke. It is very, very real. As I entered this building, I have not removed my mask, not one time, because there are still droplets right here. And I know that I'm taking a risk in being here. I take a risk in taking this back to my family. Anytime I go into a grocery store, there's no way that I can stay 6 feet away from someone coming down the aisle from me. All of us have experienced this. I know I'm not the only one. At work, when you're at work, standing out there was no 6 feet of separation or social distancing. If we just mandate it, everybody keeps talking about how would we enforce it. We have such good citizens. We have law-abiding citizens. And as a business owner, I have talked to my colleagues, I have talked to other merchants. And if it was mandated, if it was law, they would follow those mandates, because that's how they keep their businesses open. That's how they can do business in Northport. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for giving me your time, and I hope that in the future you guys do consider that 42 outweighs anybody saying it's our freedom, because those people were not free. Those people suffered until the end.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you for coming up. And again, I'm so sorry for your loss, and I know we'll be praying for you and your family. Again, you've given us some information as Pastor Randy has, and I think council. Well, first let me say that I don't want anybody to think that council's thinking we're basically up here not wanting to discuss anything like that of that matter. But the same way other cities have given the opportunity a couple of 3 weeks to have the opportunity to make a decision, I think it's only prudent to allow this body to that same affordable opportunity.
I understand.
So,
it takes consideration.
And again, whatever way you people feel about it, there is data to support any other argument one way or the other. I've been reading it enough and knowing it enough, and just to know that you did come up, and I appreciate what you said in terms of making it more personable. And again, the personal responsibility part of it on both sides of the coin. You were basically saying the same thing, but it's a different perspective.
Right.
So I really appreciate it. Again, I'm so sorry for your loss and your family's loss. So
Thank you.
again, thank you for coming up and sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
All right, we have no further public comments or citizens signed to speak in public comment on Section 13. Section 14 is mayor and council members' business. Again, Mayor Aaron is still at home recuperating. District 1, Councilman Roberts.
I have nothing tonight.
District 2, under my business, I did just reiterate the fact that we did have a July 1st meeting in Circuit Court Judge Roberts' office, his courtroom rather, and it went well on the Marriott. So again, we're looking at a tentative early August date to break ground on that hotel. Again, the actual park on 10th Street is actually going to be fast-tracked, and I know a lot of people wanted us to have that ready prior to, but in dealing with landowners here in the South, you're not dealing with one landowner. You're dealing with mama, daddy, grandmama, great-grandmama, auntie. So we're having to deal with that, so we're getting all this done and squared away, and once we do that, we'll be ready to start the next phase of that process. And again, the community health crisis pushed us back a little bit on 10th Street to make this project come to fruition while the hotel is being built. But again, nonetheless, we are fast tracking it, and so Ron and Hardy's office is working on the actual process of maybe land appraisals and working with possible designs and cost estimates. I did want to make one point of mention. Ms. Madison, 48 hours, I'll get you something. Ms. Montgomery, I'll get you an update for our HOA attorney in our subdivision. So I think that's probably the next step. And again, there's some board members I think you and I need to talk with in terms of getting us an update, because I think that was the next step of us just getting our attorney just to make contact through our HOA as we would anything else in our subdivision like that. I think it may be to where we can go after the property owner to do the right thing. So, and if you'll give me 3 days on that one, just because I want to make sure I get that done. And then Mr. Roy May, I want to say Mr. May was here 2 weeks ago. If you remember, ladies and gentlemen, he was here about his situation. I think, Ron, we're working with him. Okay, just in case we forget about that one, Mr. Roy, he did come 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks prior, about his basketball goal indirectly being thrown away. So we're working with him. We're going to get that squared away. So I want to give everybody an update on that one. That's going to get taken care of. So that's all my business. District 3, Councilman Hinton. Thank you. District 4, Councilman Davis.
I have none.
District 5, Pro Tem Hogg. I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Hinton. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, same sign. We adjourn. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.